What's going on, everybody, and welcome back. So now, in the last video, we made our welcome screen and got users able to log in with an email and password, and then we added these to-dos in Firebase. So now, we want to put a table view in and load all of those to-dos. So in our storyboard, we'll go back here, and you can see we have just our label, which right now we have set to this UID. So what we're going to do is get a table view. So we're going to drag a table view in here. And if you watched my How to Make a To-Do app, this is going to be exactly the same these next couple steps. So we're just going to try that, hope it works. Let's just say add missing. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. We will see. And drag a table view cell. So now our table view cell, we are going to call it, give it an identifier, I should say. If you click on table view cell here, come over to the attributes, this down arrow looking thing, you see identifier. We're going to call it to-do cell with a capital C. Hit enter just to make sure. So now, if we run our app, we should just have a blank table view along with our, if it loads. Doesn't seem to want to load. All right. So we'll make sure to log in using this account, and we should just see the table view. It is taking forever. There we go. So our login was, I don't know why this is taking forever. Probably because I'm trying to record right now. Too much happening at once. There we go. So we're going to do test@gmail.com and password. Hit sign in. And you can see we have an empty table view. Awesome. So now we want to make an outlet for that table view. So we're going to do view.swift. We're going to just take our table view here, just drag it over, and we're going to call it to-do TV for to-do table view. So now, just like if you watched my other video, we are going, open the wrong one here. We need to add some extensions here. We need to inherit some classes. So we're going to do UI table view delegate and UI table view data source. So grab those. It's going to give us an error saying we need the protocol stubs. We are going to add those. I'm just going to move them down to underneath. Get rid of that. And just before I do that, I'm going to add in a function called number of sections. I'm going to return 1. And the number of rows and sections is going to be to-dos. We're going to write to-dos dot count. So now it's going to give us an error because to-dos does not exist yet. So let's make that variable right here. So we're going to say var to-dos is going to be of type. Now I could do string like I did in my other video, but what I'm going to do here is use what's called a struct, which is basically like a mini class of sorts. So here I'm going to say struct to do. Now in here, all I have to say is var is checked, and that's going to be of type bool, and var to do name, which is going to be string. So now I can make an object of to do, which just has the two values of is checked and to-do name. So that's what I'm going to make each of my to-dos. So I'm going to have an array of to-do, which is of this type. Now, if you're familiar with object-oriented programming, this will make sense to you. If not, just bear with me. It'll make sense as we keep going. So now that we said that our UI table view delegate and data source, let's make sure that we do that. So here we're going to say to do TV dot delegate is equal to self, and to do TV dot data source is also equal to self. Now I'm also going to say to do TV dot row height is equal to 80, just because I know that's a nice height that we would want. So we're going to go back to our storyboard here, and we're going to put a image view into our cell here. We're going to shrink that down as much as we can. I want it to be 40 by 40. And see if I can get it. There we go. And we also want a label, which is going to hold our to-do. So make that bigger. Boom. Boom. Just put it there. We are going to keep it to the left, and we're going to make the font size 30. So now I'm just going to click on both of these and say add missing constraints. So it takes care of all of that for us. So now we're going to want to make another class, another file I should say, which is going to be a class, Cocoa Touch class. And we're going to go to UI table view cell, and we're just going to call this to do cell and create. So now we have our to do cell class, and we have to make sure that we take our to do view, get our to do cell, and make sure we go to over here and make the class of to do cell. So now we're going to put them side by side and just drag over our image, our label, and image. To do label is what we're going to call that. And we're going to call this check mark image. And that's it. We're not going to have to do anything else in this class. We're just going to give it variables in here. So now we'll get rid of that. And now go back to our view here. So now we have todos.count, and we need to create a cell. So let's say let cell equal table view.dq reusable cell with identifier. We made our identifier to do cell and the index path that's given, and we have to say as with an exclamation to do cell like we had before. So now we have to also return cell. So now we have our cell, checkmark, and the label. Now, did I bring over a checkmark? No, I did not. So give me a second. I'll be right back and grab the image, and then we can continue from there. And now we have a checkmark image. So now we've added that. So now we can use that when we need to. So now we want to do stuff with the cell, but we want to get it from Firebase. So we're going to say import Firebase database up here. So what that's going to do is allow us to use Firebase. We're also going to get the authentication just to be safe. So now I'm going to say in here, we are going to put a function called load to dos. And now we'll put that function right here and we'll call it load to dos. So now what we're going to say is let ref for reference equal database dot database with the lowercase d in the parentheses dot reference with path, and it wants a string. So now the path we want is users, and then we're going to say dot child, and the child we want is our user ID. So we can say no strings, we can use the variable we have. We got to make sure we unwrap it. And then we want the child of to-dos, which we know is that. So now we're going to say ref.observe single event of data event type, which we're going to say dot value, and then we're going to hit enter on here, call it snapshot, which is going to give us a data snapshot of this. So what this is going to return, that snapshot, is what I have highlighted here. So now each of these is a children. So the to-dos children is get groceries and go for run. So what we're going to say here is for child in snapshot dot children dot all objects as, and we want to say data snapshot. So now we're going to say to do name, let to do name equal child dot key. So what that does is each time through the loop, we're going to go to this child first, and now to do name will be get groceries the first time through. Then the second time through, it'll be go for run. Now the reason we're doing this is because we need to make another reference to get the is checked value. So now we're going to say let to do reference equal the current reference, which we have to say self because we're in a closure here. So we have to say self. Actually, no, we should just be able to use ref dot child. Since it's in the function, we don't need to. It's not a variable we made up here. Sorry about that. So now we're going to say ref dot child of to do name. So since we got that name, now we have access to that reference. So then we're going to say almost the same thing, to do ref dot observe single event. We're going to say dot value, and we're going to say to do snapshot. Now make sure this is different from that snapshot. So I'm calling it to do snapshot here and snapshot up there. So now we're going to say let value equal to do snapshot dot value. Now if you see when it says dot value, it's of type any. So we have to say what we want it to be casted as. So we need to say ns dictionary, which is just going to make it a dictionary. And we need to put a question mark there. So what it's going to give us is this value here, all of it. If I was to get the snapshot of here, the dictionary would have email and as the key and the value as test, and same for password. So now for to-dos, all it's going to be is checked and its value. So now we can say let is checked equal value, and need to unwrap it here, and we know is checked, which is right here, that's the key we want to use, as bool. So that's going to give us the value of is checked for each child. So in this case, it's going to give us false, and for that case, it's going to give us true. So now we can say self.todos.append a new element, and we're going to say to do, and you can see right away it gives us is checked and to do name, which is exactly what we have here. So now I can say is checked, and I have to unwrap it, and the to do name is to do name that we used here, and the is checked value is from right there. So now that adds to our to-dos. And now here, we're going to say self.todotv.reload data, because now that a new to-do was appended, we just want to reload the table. Now granted, this is not an efficient way to reload the data each time, because we're not working with a lot. It's fine in this case, but if you have 1,000 elements in here, then that's not going to be efficient. But it works for our case now, so why change it? So now we've loaded all of the to-dos, which is awesome. So now we want to be able to display them. So in our table view cell for row at, we're going to say cell.todo label equals to-dos, and we're going to get the index path.row dot to do name. Since each element in the to-dos array is of type to do, you can just say any type of struct dot, and it'll give you an option to get its variables. So we can just say to-dos index path.row dot to do name. And now we can also check if if to-dos index path.row dot is checked, then we can set the checkmark image dot image equal to UI image named, and for me it's checkmark dot png. Now this will be different if you have a different image and called it something else. For me, I called it checkmarked, and I know it's a .png. Cell.todolabel.text, sorry. And then else, if it's not checked, we just want to make sure the image is nil. And then we want to return the cell. So now, if we run our app, we should see our to-dos, unless we did something wrong, which we might have, because you never know. We're going to say test@gmail.com, password sign in. And here you can see it worked. We got our get groceries and go for run. And now you can see go for run has a check mark because go for run is checked is true. So now we want to change what happens if we click on a to do. So what we're going to say is function did select row at, and we're just going to say if if to-dos index path.row is checked, then we're going to say to-dos index path.row is checked is equal to false, just to change it in our array. Now we want to access our Firebase and change it in Firebase. So we're going to say let reference equal database. We want database.reference with path users.child is our user ID, and then again dot child of to-dos, and now we can say dot child again of to-dos index path dot row dot to-do name, and have that whole thing in this last child. So now we're going to say reference dot update child values, and here we're going to say brackets and then quotes is checked, and then set it to false. Now else, we're just going to copy and paste this, but here let's take the reference out and we can put that at the top because there's no need to copy that. And we'll just take these here, put them in the else, and change the falses to true. And while we're at it, we might as well set up deleting a cell. So we'll say function row for row at, and it'll be that first one here. And we're going to say if editing style equals dot delete, which it is by default, which is here, so it will happen. We're going to say, grab this reference again up here, and didn't mean to do it twice, dot name, and now we're going to say reference dot remove value, and then we're going to say to-dos dot remove at index path dot row, so it deletes it, and then reload our table view. So now if we save this and we run it, it should load. And then I'm also going to grab our Firebase here. So you can see when we log in, so now I can click on this and you can see the values changing in Firebase. You can see false, and then true, true, click again, false, true. It'll keep changing, and it's all happening live. So now you can see we didn't change our check mark, which it should have changed when we reloaded the data. But we didn't do that. Okay, so after here in did select row, you're going to want to do table view dot reload data. And now we should see boom, and now you can see as long as they're true, it has the check marks. If not, no check marks. And what's cool is it'll stay each time that you reopen the app because it's getting the data from Firebase. Now you can see if we swipe, we can delete, and you can see get groceries is gone. So now we want to add to Firebase. Right now this button does absolutely nothing. So we're going to grab our storyboard here, and now we want to grab to-do view.swift. We're going to just put some space here, and we're going to say add to do. So now in here, in add to do, we're going to do it just like I did in my other video. We're going to use a alert controller equal UI alert controller, let me make this bigger here, equals UI alert controller, and the title is going to be new to do. The message is add a to do and dot alert. So then we're going to say to do alert dot add text field, and that's all you have to do there. Then we're going to say we need to add actions to our alert. So we're going to say add to do action equals UI alert action, and the title is going to be add. The style is going to be default, and we'll say action in, and we're going to say let to do text equal to do alert dot text fields, and on wrap that say index 0, since we only have the one text field, so 0, everything starts at 0 dot text. So now we're going to say self dot to do's dot append, and we're going to say to do, and now is checked. We're going to just set it to false right away, and then we're going to do text, and we have to unwrap that. So now we want to get our reference, which we'll just take from right here, and now we can just say reference dot child to do text, and what that's going to do is create a new child since that reference doesn't exist. This creates that reference of to do text of whatever you put in, and make sure to unwrap it there, and then we're going to say dot set value, and we're going to say is checked and set that to false right away. And now we're going to say self dot to do table view dot reload data, and right here we have to say self dot user ID because we're in a closure. So now we've taken a new to do, we've made it in, we've put it into our array, we've uploaded it up to Firebase, and now we've displayed it in the app. So now we just need to do let cancel action equal UI alert action, and the title is just going to be cancel. The style, need a parentheses there, quotes, not parentheses, and we're going to say dot default, and we don't need a handler. And then we're going to say to do alert dot add action, add to do action, and our cancel action. Then we need to present the controller, animated is true, and our completion is nil. So now, if we run our app, we should only have go for run once it loads. So let's sign into our dummy account here. So all we have is go for a run. You can see we can just do stuff. So now add a new to do, and we'll say get groceries. Again, we'll say add, and now you can see get groceries again is up here, and you can see it's added into Firebase with a default value of false. And now you can see I can change it, and I can add a bunch. I can say to do number 1, and we crashed. So let's figure out why that happened. We go up to here, we can't put that in. Cannot use the hashtag. Okay. Well, as long as you don't put a number symbol, you should be good. So we'll try that again. Password. And now we can say to do 1. And we can say to do 2, to do 3, and so on. And you can see they're all in here now. So now we're set, and we can delete them if we want, and you can see they're all gone. So now we just want to be able to log out and change this to say hello to our email. So now we're just going to give us some space. We're going to take our logout button here. We're going to say logout action. So here we're going to say try auth.auth.sign out. And that's it for that. And then we want to say self.dismiss. Animated will be true, and our completion will be nil. So now we should be able to log out. And before I run, we're going to make a function called set welcome label. And in here, we're just going to say let user reference equal database.reference with path users dot child, and we're going to say our user ID. So here we're going to say user ref dot observe single event, just as we did before, dot value, call it snapshot, and in here we're going to say, like we did before, let value equal snapshot dot value as ns dictionary, and then we're going to say let email equal value and we're going to say email. Now we want it as a string. So then we're going to say self dot, now what did we call it? We called it welcome label. Self dot welcome label dot text is equal to hello plus our email here plus, I just realized I can make this bigger, and we're just gonna be fancy, add in an exclamation point. And we need to unwrap that with an exclamation point. So if we run, I believe everything should work perfectly fine, and we should be able to log out. So here, we'll say test@gmail.com. We'll say password, sign in. Our label did not work. Because we never called the method, just realized that. So logout works, but we have it saying our credentials still. We will change that in a second. But if you sign in, you can see everything in there. So up here, we're going to just say set welcome label. And now we're also going to go into our view controller, and we're going to override, if I can spell override right, override function. Actually, no, we don't need that. In view did load, we're going to say email text field.text is equal to an empty string, and same for password. So that way, every time it gets reloaded, so when a user logs out, or the app is open, it is always going to have an empty string. So let's log in here. And you can see hello test@gmail.com. Now log out, and we're going to add the function that I thought we didn't need, which is view will appear. And we're just going to copy these two into there. Save that. We'll run again. But you can see we have it saying what our email is and all that. In to do view, we can get rid of this because we don't want the user ID being shown. You will see it for a split second here because this is not the newest build with that in, because you can see it for a second. But if we hit log out, now you can see we need to re-enter our stuff. So that's it. I know this was long. Thank you for bearing with me. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments and let me know what you want to see next. Like, comment, subscribe for more, and have a great day. Bye.